we continue down this trend, might be our fastest game of the playoffs. Let's see what happens. Afreeca going to be on our blue side, actually, so opting in.
They chose the blue side for game number 4. They only had side selections in games 2 and 4. They are choosing blue side. They also chose blue side in the second game against Gen G. And you might say, okay, well, what's the relevance there? They've been picking red side since then. The thing to consider is when I was doing my prep for this series, I thought about the fact that at the end of the day, Griffin and Gen G weren't really that different in the second round robin. While Gen G was the same team in first and second round robin, marksman every time, no awesome dudes, very standard macro, slow early game, Griffin by the end was also Cho'Gath top lane, Kai'Sa Shen bot lane. If we don't win in the early game, we just need a lot of time, but at 40 minutes we can out team fight you. They were also predictable. And in Game 3, it was Griffin showing that predictable side. So if they're pretty confident in the champion pools of Griffin, it's fine to just pick blue side, and who knows what they might come out with at the first pick.
Well, finally Shen is going to be banned. Tucson is going to have to get on something different here this game. The Alistar certainly is his fallback option. He's played basically the whole playoffs on either Alistar, Shen, or Rakan. And certainly looked good for Afreeca to give him that ability to engage for them, but now Griffin have the option of picking away a lot of different things.
What about Gragas? Because they haven't picked up the Gragas. Predator Gragas would be an interesting takeaway from Spirit, who might just go for the Olaf, could just default to Sejuani. We'll see what Spirit would want to do in that regard. They're going to take Braum just for the standard like-for-like in terms of the tank supports. What does Griffin want to take first round? A lot of stuff is open. The Zoe priority, you think, has to be sliding after another loss on the Zoe. Interestingly, no Rather is going to see any play in. Okay, wow, we saw first off Varus. We're actually seeing first game from Viper on the Ashe. So neither of those utility carries is what he'd shown any priority on. In my notes, I noted 0 games Varus, Ashe, and Jhin, the old Prey champion pool of utility carries. Now we see Griffin pull out a one-off on both of them.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. Here we go, the Alistar Yasuo already paired up, the Swain probably going to be heading towards the bottom side, but remember guys, that's still a flex.
And Afreeca Freecs is saying, hey, you better pick away or ban away the Graggy Ice, otherwise Graggy's coming in to set up some even more reliable engages from Kuro. Kuro will be on the Yasuo, outside chance of Keen, I guess, in an R matchup, but probably not, probably going to be mid lane. From the Afreeca Freecs.
4 in a row.
It will be the Olaf. They can double ban jungle if they want, but it's Spirit, the guy who literally plays everything, including Lulu jungle and Poppy jungle. He could play anything here, so don't know the value of banning away Spirit's jungle pool.
I don't think you can ban away Spirit's jungle pool because there are just that many champions in League of Legends. You can't ban it. It's just impossible. Couple of options here, though, and we'll see what they are going to take away. They are going to be attacking Kuro's champion pool, interestingly enough. That seems really strange to me, given the fact that it's likely that either the Swain or the Yasuo will be heading towards the mid lane.
Maybe trying to relieve from some pressure from an Orianna pick instead, unless the flexes start to come out for Afreeca. But I think Yasuo versus Orianna is a very possible choice. So I'm trying to think what Azir does to a Griffin mid lane choice, and I guess it's decent into Zoe, but I don't know necessarily it'll be the best coverage ban there, so we'll track to see what the second ban is from Griffin.
I just think it's a mistake, personally.
The Gragas ban, I think, makes a lot of sense.
That's a good one. That's a real good one.
As we mentioned, you just throw the cask from range, and then Yasuo has a happy fun time with a multiple last breath. So we'll wait and see if we get any understanding of the Azir ban based on what Chovy's drafting. Afreeca, will they even bother to ban the Zoe? Again, you can take Yasuo into Zoe or Orianna and be pretty happy, but they don't want to roll the dice, and they will ban it away this time.
Yeah, just going to get rid of it, but not a lot of other options that they're fearing at this point. What is Griffin going to lock in here? Where are they going to be prioritizing? It makes sense to go to mid lane.
I'd love to see a Jace, just so that Afreeca can't abuse some of the champion pool issues Sword has when he needs to counterpick. And they're actually going to ban Azir and draft Galio mid lane for Chovy. He's played one game of it, a victory. But Galio priority has been in the toilet recently. No one's been playing Galio at all. And the Yasuo was always pretty decent into this matchup. Can be chain ganked, but also does farm for the majority of the laning phase just fine.
Yeah, we've seen this one work sort of one of two ways. If you pay him a lot of attention, the Yasuo does fall behind, but otherwise he can just free farm, so you're feeling pretty good. The Trundle going to be picked up here. Pretty obvious one there if you're going down the tier list. Spirit going to be taking that one away from Tarzan, as well as the gangplank goes into the hands of Keen. And Afreeca Freecs, once again, putting themselves together exactly a composition that they're looking for.
They're screaming for a winning lane on the side of Griffin. Does Sword have it in him to actually punish one of our best GP players in Korea in Keen?
If he
Here's
plays
the final
Cho'Gath,
pick. You
might
could go
just
really
leave.
offensive here if you want. The Jace, we mentioned already.
Much better choice.
It will be the Jace. This finally gives them a pressure valve. It's not an ultra forever winning matchup for the Jace, but it's a priority lane for the Jace. And maybe this time Tarzan, with no Lee Sin on his case, we're the top lane that should have push priority. Maybe now Tarzan can take the game by the scruff of the neck and win it for the side of Griffin.
Well, we'll see whether they can, because it's a very different scenario for Griffin. Chovy on the Galio is not what we were expecting. Viper on the Ashe, certainly not what we were expecting. We wanted them to change. We wanted them to adapt. We didn't want them to go back to quintessential Griffin. We're seeing that adaptation. Can they actually now prove themselves on the Rift is the big question, because Afreeca Freecs, they haven't adapted at all. This is exactly what you come to expect from the Afreeca Freecs.
And Griffin will say this is in memoriam to their Game 1 game that was a victory on the red side with a similar draft that could play around early to mid-game.
All right, everyone screaming at the top of their lungs for either team. The Griffin fans getting louder and louder as things are looking more and more dire. Legacy continuing indeed on the Afreeca Freecs side, but a legacy being born on the side of Griffin.
That is a sad Teemo.
That is a very sad team.
Well, Astronaut Teemo not going to be discovered in this particular series. There's Cowbell's back, so we're hyped about that.
Yeah, Tusen's like, yes, finally, I can get back
I want to
on my
hear some
cowbell.
good tunes, though. You can cancel the
He was
tune pretty well.
canceling.
I didn't hear the tune.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't into it. Wolf is the best we've seen so
Yeah,
far in terms
he's,
of the audio cancels on that particular side. Is 100% win rate in Korea for Kuro on the Yasuo. He's been popping off this season. I believe he's currently at 3 or 4-0. 3-0 I have in my notes. It's been a good pick for him. It used to be in the past there were really Kuro champions and really not Kuro champions. You would think of Victor on the one side and Azir on the other side. But it's developed. He's taking Azir bans in multiple games of
He
the
took
playoffs.
an Azir ban here when he'd already locked in Yasuo.
Agreed. They've definitely been... Kuro's been rewriting his legacy, going from the 5th Beetle position when he was seen as the 5th strongest player on the Rox Tigers 2016 lineup to straight up carry in his own right. He was joint MVP of Summer last year with BDD. It's been really Kuro turning around his legacy in many ways. I know some EULCS fans are triggered by that word.
Yeah. It was actually written down by one of our fans here as well, so EU fans are really not having a great time at the moment. See, Kane, once again, going to be taking Grasp of the Undying, just doing his best, trying to even out this laning phase, and if he wins this, don't be too surprised, guys, because he's very good at winning gangplank matchups that aren't necessarily supposed to win.
It would also be a sign of the players rather than the champions. That would definitely be player names on, because it's a very lopsided matchup to the Jace in the 1v1. But I think that was something Afreeca put into their prep. They seem so happy to counterpick Keen onto a favorable matchup like the Quinn in game number 2, wherever possible, and Sword just has a bit more limited of a window when it comes to effective champion pool. After the permaban Aatrox was removed and the free win Mundo was removed, he's been a little bit more limited of a player champion pool-wise. The Gnar, his big pick.
Very true. Where I want to look is in the jungle here, because this game, it's Tarzan not being completely hamstrung. Certainly didn't manage to get a look in at all in the early game of game number 1, because Spirit just styled on him with the Lee Sin. This time around, a different story, as he's able to grab his side of the jungle, they share the Rift Scuttlers as well, so a very even start here for the Trundle and the Olaf.
Definitely not the sort of matchup you can learn the victor of the jungle matchup before first back. At the end of the day, the kind of increased presence of Predator junglers, we might have a lot of series moving forward with Predator versus Predator, especially after the Electrocute nerfs on patch 8.16. Trivialize that as a mastery, a keystone I should say, for junglers. that, you know, you don't really get interactive till you have the boots. The boots are there. He has a keystone now because he can use the Predator, but he's not bot side.
Yeah, there's Flash Headbutt Pulve onto Viper, and Spirit, he's going to have the pillar to throw down as well. Perfect positioning, as you'd expect, and just locks down first blood. Afreeca Freecs on the board so early.
Didn't get any value out of the Hawk shot there. Did not know the Trundle was bot side. Doosan will always pull the trigger at the drop of a hat. This man taxis to minions like he works for Uber. Beautiful stuff there from him. Takes down Viper, and now it's no Summoner Ash. A far cry from some of the awesome dudes that Viper was excelling on early in the season.
And also Kramer saying, yeah, you were preying on me without a flash. Now it's your turn, Viper, as we'll see whether Spirit is going to come back there as well. Chovy getting taken down to about half health here as Kuro's having a pretty decent time. Throwing in the wind wall there just to negate as much damage as possible. Not a lot of options against Galio.
It's very predictable for Tarzan to be top side. He wasn't there for the counter gank bot side, so where is he? Obvious question.
Well, there's the flash. He's going to get the hammer back there as well onto Kane. He still hasn't flashed yet. Dodges as many buttons as possible, but can't dodge them all. As Sword locks down the hypercharged shock blast to come in. Now, more fighting to happen here as Lahen's booped back underneath. But Doosan, he's going down very low. Vision of Empire stops Viper from auto-attacking, but it doesn't stop Lahen's. And he takes down the cow. Can Kramer actually find it? No, he can't. The flash forward from Lahen's, in fact, and now they're looking for even more. He flashes down, but it doesn't matter. Viper, he had the slow and he wants more. Now Spirit filing forward. He doesn't have the ultimate. He's not going to be able to go 1v2. This game is completely insane, but a 900 gold lead for Griffin already. The fighting hasn't stopped. There's an ult in the mid lane now as Chovy's fighting Kuro. Nothing more to happen.
Hang in there, Atlas, after three macro siestas. We've got an all-out fiesta in game number 4. High action, high octane stuff. Griffin needed those outplays. Jace needed to get rolling bot side. Couldn't get collapsed on too hard. Spirit can interrupt back.
Yeah, it does so nicely as Viper's back was stopped as well. Viper, he was thinking about taking the teleport, but decided to opt in for the heal. Obviously working out quite well there. As let's have a look at the replay. Not entirely sure what they've decided to replay here, as it's going to be the first kill.
Again, we had three games.
No, this is second.
We had 3 games of posturing, 3 games of macro, and then LPL style, we start flexing our muscles when it comes to 2v2s and ganks and 1v1s around the map. This was Kramer not respecting the cooldown of the Unbreakable, meant he didn't have any kill pressure at the end, and we have to stop the replay because we want to see a GP die.
Yeah, we're between turrets as Cannon Barrage is in there. Spirit's going to turn up as well as Keen.
The slow?
Oh my god, is he going to survive? Sword is going to fall down now. Tarzan might go as well as Spirit gets the double, all set up on a silver platter by Keen.
Spirit had to be there to lap it up, but there's Spirit. He says, yeah, that's right, we got the kills back. 3-3 in the first 7 minutes. We'll go and kill a minute where we can possibly. They can't get the kill. The slow on the Cannon Barrage. Oh, so important.
Oh, just ridiculous. But also able to dodge out of so many different abilities.
TP coming in from Braum cancelled. Knew that he couldn't actually close the distance and thought they'd do the hard work. They get Keen low. They can't actually hammer hit him into the wall for a mini stun. That is just an unaccelerated shock blast, and it's just a dream for Griffin to take down the Pirate. This was the day you came so close to killing Kane, but not close enough.
Just such bloodthirsty stuff happening in this game, though. So different from all the posturing that we've seen so far this series. 6 kills already here at 7.5 minutes, and we've almost had that many games in this series. It's felt like it's been more about positioning, objectives. This time around, a little bit more desperation, a little bit more free-spirited on the side of the Afreeca Freecs.
So the question is, who does that suit when it comes to the draws? Because usually in a high kill game, people just have more gold than they would in a different game. There might be a little bit less farm, but those kills, especially shutdowns, provide so many kills. I can say right now, it gets Afreeca Freecs closer to ults, and with their ults, they can definitely do a lot. They have Yasuo and Trundle. Also, Yasuo, the Trundle and the Swain have a lot of synergy as well with the passive and then the ult set up for the Yasuo.
Yep.
So when it comes to items to fight, Afreeca will feel pretty good about this early game. I would say Griffin spike harder with less gold, around 30,000 gold. They're kind of at close to their maximum efficiency here. But getting there is a bit quicker with the gold in the game. Sadly, it's not a gold lead, it's gold parity with Afreeca Freecs.
Well, Arrow's going to fly in here, and thankfully for the Afreeca Freecs, it's going to hit the cow, but he's still going down so low. Hero's entrance comes in as well, and Griffin are creating a massive cluster in this Dragon Pit. Kuro has the ultimate. Is the Steel Tempest going to be enough? Flashes out, gets the triumph, as now he's looking for Hands, doesn't get the knock-up. Winter's Bite seals the deal onto the Yasuo, and that is so many kills for Griffin in that Dragon Pit.
Everyone's still smiling. They're loving the octane of this game. 12 kills in 9 minutes. Round the Drake, we saw the true contest. Goomba Stomp came through from Chovy to open it all up. This is Griffin saying, we need to fight, we need to be strong. Kuro can't get maximum value at the start. He is on the edge, he is zoned out. First by the ultimate and then into the taunt coming through from Chovy. But by the end, with a couple of Triumph procs, you knew there was a dream for Kuro to clean this all up.
Yeah, flashes out though, plays very respectfully into Hands, but Hands with a really nice sidestep towards the end meant that he wasn't able to achieve that dream.
And all Chovy can do is punch him for justice and take him down. 6 Dark Seal stacks is a nice little bonus for Chovy after all of that. Afreeca Freecs hold on to the Cannon Barrage, not invested in the previous fight. Chovy's ult down for a while, but that doesn't seem to slow down the action at all.
Nope. Spirit moving up towards the top side as Tarzan has popped the Predator. That allows him to steal away a Gromp, which isn't necessarily the hugest thing. Still good news for Griffin. Have about 1,000 gold lead. Keen getting himself to a point where he can clear out minions relatively well.
What about
to be able to find the capture?
There's a question of where the gold is and isn't, as maybe we have to hold that point.
Well, Kramer will find a never move as the arrow's going to fly in. Tucson does have the ultimate available, and that is exactly the button that Griffin wanted to get out of them. Now Afreeca having to play so much more carefully on the bottom side of the map.
All the kills are loaded into Spirit, barring one onto the Yasuo. It means the Rod of Age is going to be delayed here onto the Swain. See Spirit, he's bot side. I don't know if he was spotted out. I'm guessing no defensive ward, no defensive pings, I should say, from Griffin.
Yep, already moving back. Good positioning there as well. As you can see, Kuro, he was making his way down. They really wanted to make that dive happen. As Kane looking to not get dove as best he can.
So we're just thinking about another flash hammer hit to try to turn the favor to Tarzan. To push through here, Trundle bot side.
Just going to pressure him out of the way of this turret here as well. One more time, Keen is going to have to run away. Cannon Barrage going to be invested.
How greedy can they be about this one? There's defensive pings onto Yasuo. It's pretty far away. They don't know for sure where Trundle is, so they do pull away.
Yeah, going to be happening here. Means that Afreeca do have a man advantage on the rest of the map. Kuro just clearing out the mid lane, continuing to free himself up so that he can be a threat elsewhere. Spirit and Tucson now, buddy system, moving towards a Rift Herald that has very high value for the Afreeca Freecs comp.
It's also a double value move because it's we're walking to Rift Herald, by the way, kind of wave to Griffin, and it's also to try to buy more time for Keen to keep the turret up. If you go top side, you're not going to be able to auto-attack that turret as Jace to take it down as fast. So speaking of taking down, we're seeing a teleport bot side, probably to relieve pressure here.
Yep, going to be cancelled. Now Griffin could potentially just try and do this one again. Slahens is going to actually block some of the Sith Lightning. Tucson eventually makes his way back down again, but thankfully for Afreeca fans, they are able to stave off the pressure that Griffin were putting on. However, not on the top side. They lose first brick, and now Tarzan makes his way in as well. Predator has been popped. He's got Ragnarok there as well. Gets the flash out of Keen finally. And Spirit, he's trying here as well. They get the knock up onto Chovy. He's very tanky, and Justice Punch is going to knock up Kuro as well. Once again, an arrow going to be tanked up by Tucson. I think he's almost taken all of them as the Afreeca Freecs can't kill Chovy.
Order in the chaos, what you try to have to make for some of games like this. Through the chaos, Griffin don't pull away from top side. They do get the top lane out of turret. Cement the lead of the Jace, going lethality to hunt pirates. This is pirate hunt to Jace, in case you guys are wondering. They're trying to actually get damage into this game early. The Rift Herald is theirs to set up around, but they don't feel strong enough to answer it just yet, and they're worried about some of the map plays. So there will be a collapse, a recall here in the chaos. Griffin has been able to get a big lead around their Jace, which is something they desperately needed after the draft.
Yeah, Kuro desperately looking for some items here as well. You noticed that he just couldn't really do anything to Chovy.
He had already opened up with his taunt as the damage came in, so the last breath was negated into Aftershocks, so Chovy played that about as well as possible, and like you say, couldn't even put a sliver onto him. A couple of items will have to roll around for that to happen. Still waiting for the second use of the hero's entrance. First was the Goomba Stomp for the earlier kill in the Drake take. Speaking of Drake, back up in a minute. Some nice item timings for Griffin, whereas the stacking has only just begun for Kramer and most of the Afreeca Freecs item builds.
Yeah, still looking to try and put those together. Kuro does have his Phantom Dancer done, so that's good news, but otherwise we're still waiting on a Trinity Force. Waiting on things like Azonia's from Kramer as well. See whether he goes once again for the Twin Shadows. I like that item. There's Chovy, not a lot of mana, does have a blue buff. There's Kuro, looking for more, but not going to find anything.
Big tipping point to me this game is how many of the lane opponents can Sword beat in the side lane. If you're going Lethality Jace, you might be able to burst down Yasuo, you might be able to burst down GP, but Swain could also hit the side lane. Doesn't have a teleport, but can function in that way. If Jace gets far enough ahead, it removes the problems of the Game 3 draft where, yes, Cho'Gath could be a useful tool if Griffin ran the bot lane and mid lane. They didn't, so they lost because Cho'Gath could do nothing. The Jace is them actually finding a carry. It's why we were asking for a damage dealer, a lane pick for the top side. The Jace gets big enough that he can take whichever bad guy rotates top lane, then Griffin can actually run some smart macro plays around that strength.
Well, right now, Afreeca Freecs still looking for the bottom side of the map. Spotted out by Tarzan and Chovy was Kuro making his way back down, and that means that Sword has all of the space in the world on the top side of the map. Keen farming things out nicely, but still pressure being gained by the Jace like you were talking about.
Keen doesn't have Trinity Force. When you have Trinity Force, you can actually just clear the minions pretty easily when you're being pushed in, so you're not at threat of losing your inner turret. But before the Trinity Force power spike, it's a little bit trickier. Mid lane.
Yeah, he's going to get the knock up here as Sword. Just going to pay a visit to the mid lane. Offer Kuro something. Kuro's in a Shock Blast. That's going to be about that. Afreeca Freecs holding on. This part of the game, 3,000 gold is going to be the lead almost exactly for Griffin, who have turned around the momentum that Afreeca Freecs gathered in game number 3, looking to try and bring us towards that game 5, that decider in this series.
Rift Herald's going to be a freebie, and that's a very nice win for Griffin. Before we saw the 3-man rotation to relieve pressure and target the Rift Herald by Afreeca Freecs. Didn't get either. The Rift Herald should go down. The damage numbers, no surprise. The Jace into GP has been the triumphant choice. Remember, if Griffin win, there is a Wrinkle Atlas. They will have side selection in game number 5. This was Afreeca Freecs choosing blue side.
Yeah, it was. And we were talking about that as being sort of break point, that they were able to gather that win on blue side. Now, probably kicking themselves, but this looks like the pick that they were looking for. Stand behind me is going to come in as Viper. Just boops Spirit over the wall to get him out of there. That looked like it should have been free, but instead, it's a bit of a disaster. Mountain Drake now should be picked up by the Afreeca Freecs, but it looks like Griffin don't want to give this one over for free.
They can use Galio. Of course, Ultimate's up, Predator's up as well. It's no freebie.
And he can't get rid of Tarzan as well, as the arrow's going to fly in first to start off this fight. Cannon Barrage is down, but not doing anything to Griffin yet. As Kuro extremely low on the back end, it's Tucson that grabs the first kill. Hero's entrance comes down. Thankfully, Spirit grabs themselves a dragon as Kuro finally falls in the backline. It's Sword that's able to get in over the top and grab that one. And now Griffin looking to clean up. Keen in a whole host of trouble here underneath the outer turret on the bottom side. At least gets a barrel shot onto Viper, who's got no mana. And now Spirit, can he get down here onto Chovy? Winds of War come in. Keen eats some oranges. He's going to be all right. And Griffin should be able to grab a consolation outer turret after not being able to kill the pirate once again.
But they are going to get the push in mid lane at the same time, and no teleports are up on the side of Afreeca Freecs. This could have been the killing field. This could have been a game ender in some ways. Watch as it all starts. We were focused on the Drake, but look at Kuro on the bot side. Tries to open up. He gets focused down by Olaf, and the only reason he lives is flashing into the Drake pit. Ends up having to have Spirit stay next to it because he can't tank it at all. He falls desperately low, and this fight is so close to being a 5-0 from the side of Griffin. It looked like it's going to be a wipe, but Chovy just can't end some of the low health members' lives.
Yeah. He's able to get down the high priority ones though, and like you say, they transition this into so much more. Given the outer turret had minions on it, outer turret in the mid lane as well, had some minions on it. So they were able to take that one down. Sword was able to finish it up. Hypercharge, pretty good. Destroying turrets as it turns out. We're going to have a look at the damage.
Look at
Chovy's
the
Galio just really starting to pop off, and those question marks that we had for his champion pool starting to slip away.
And it's now, because the Jace has won top lane, if the Jace had lost, if GP was getting a free lane up in CS or doing even, as we often see with Keen's GP, then Kuro just hits a side lane, he's really happy, and none of this matters. But because the Jace has won, now the fact that the Galio is a win more button on someone like Jace, a win more button on an Olaf diving in. The Olaf in the previous game, no identity, countered by a Lee Sin, can do nothing. In this game, it's suddenly the creme de la creme because of the fact that the Jace had won. It's very easy for things to fall into place. It's why results-based analysis is something you always wonder about. Yes, we can be results-based about him missing the EQ there. That was a bit crap. But what we're trying to say is things are sliding into place from Griffin. It's so easy for a draft to be a good or a bad draft depending on who won the game. In this particular side, Griffin have stuck the win conditions way better than games 2 through 3.
Oh, absolutely. And what that has given them is about a 5,500 gold lead. Sorry, 4,500 gold lead. Not quite there just yet, but Rift Herald should be able to make it up to that 5.5 as Spirit looking for a gank in the mid lane. Lahen's just going to stand behind Viper. He's a difficult target to take down. 2-1 and 6 on the Braum, and see you later in a turret. Shelly's going to keep pushing.
No turrets taken down by Afreeca. Nowhere near any of them. At this present point, they're getting slammed in a way not many teams have.
They're getting slammed in a way that they slammed Griffin in Game 3.
And that's why the point I want to get to was in not the way that Griffin has slammed many teams. They don't often win games with a utility AD carry. First game of the season from Viper on the Ashe. First game of the season earlier on the Varus for him. They've also had Sword counterpick them, which he's been mostly on Cho'Gath or blind pick Gnar duty. This is once again Griffin trying to conform to the meta, doing a better job than you might have first expected, and with backs against the wall in an elimination semi-final.
And we have seen that when Sword is on these carries, when he's on damage threats, he has been more successful for Griffin. Some of his 100% win rate champions, of course, they didn't do a lot of losing earlier on in the season. However, the champions that he was performing well on were Darius, were Aatrox, were these big split-pushing threats, much like this Jace. Jace, another big pick for him as well. Only 3 on the season thus far, but 100% win rate with a 22 KDA ain't bad.
And now I'm getting greedy. I desperately want a Game 5 because I need to know. Let's assume we roll it back. Griffin on the red side. They choose red side. What does Keen blind pick for top lane against Sword with backs against the wall Game 5? Does he blind pick Quinn? That's what I need to know, because there's a real chance he does that and says, I just don't believe you have a champion that can deal with this.
I'm not sure whether he does. Honestly, Pop Smithy, I feel the same way. But that is looking further down the track. What we have to focus on now is what Griffin can do to win this game and what Afreeca Freecs can do to stave it off. Remember, this is match point. This is Afreeca Freecs confirming worlds as the arrow is going to fly wide and Kramer dodges absolutely everything.
You know, I don't even know if he dodged. He was just pathing in one direction and kept going.
He dodged the undertow and the volley. The arrow certainly
That's the one where Viper hopes the camera dodged the ultimate there. Didn't see it. We saw it. It was a bit of a goal.
It was.
The World Cup's over. Don't do those anymore.
Yeah, bad news. He was scouting. It was just a really expensive ball shot.
Well, in spite of that, still good map control for Griffin. Haven't seen Viper pop off too much today. He's definitely been on the more utility side.
Yeah.
The Scuttle went really far away from the river.
He was like a crocodile, you know? He was chasing after some prey or something like that. Not entirely sure.
That was Afreeca Freecs last series, actually.
Oh, I was waiting for that. Well, King going to turn up bottom side. Certainly doesn't want to deal with Sword, but will have to. And now has Caulfield's Warhammer and a Trinity Force, so he can deal with these minion waves quite well.
Can't really deal with damage too well.
Well, the ultimate's going to fly forward here as Lahen's jumps on over, wanting to deliver a Galio to the Afreeca Freecs, but they're not able to take down Kramer. Still sitting on the ultimate as well. It does have to use both Cleanse and Flash. Might still have some utility as they move towards the next team fight.
Does mean his teamfight impact is slightly to fall away unless everyone's chilling in the Baron Pit, and you know what? We might be chilling in the Baron Pit.
Looks like chilling in the Baron Pit is exactly what the Doctor ordered, and Spirit is going to move over. Tucson as well. He's got the ultimate, but not a lot of health bars. 5 members of Griffin are in the area. Arrow flies in as well. They just want to deal with the cap at the last breath onto 3 members. Chovy eventually deals with it, but Cannon Barrage softens up all of Griffin. And now Chovy's in no man's land on the wrong side. As he gets the taunt, that's decently well done, and Kuro melts. Not a lot of health on that Yasuo, and now Griffin have turned it around. Keen eats some oranges. He's at least a bit more healthy, and Spirit is taking them on a wild goose chase, but they want more. Sword is able to lock it down with a shock blast, and Spirit still running, but still not a lot of places for him to go.
Big mistake coming through from Kuro to re-engage. That actually just opened up Chovy to start the CC chain. If they take down Spirit, they can take the Baron, but Spirit, he's damn annoying to kill.
He's really annoying to kill, as they are going to jump back on the Baron once again. Chovy still chasing after him, as this Baron's pretty healthy, guys.
4-level lead on Chovy, but he can't kill Spirit in one rotation.
Tarzan might die here. Sword thankfully teleports in. Lahen's about to die. Could he actually burn to death here? Tucson still coming forward. Not going to be able to get any sort of steal, as Spirit was a little bit too close for comfort, but didn't have the flash. Kramer comes on over as well, and Griffin, they do successfully take the Baron.
Teamfighting has not necessarily been Afreeca Freecs' strength at any point. They've been very inventive in the draft. They set up so many good 4-1 strategies. They've keen split push to win. For the majority of their games in the playoffs, they make a really big read error on how strong they are in this fight. They think they've caught Chovy, but it gets turned around onto Kuro. Things fall into place. The Baron is taken by Griffin. You look at the gold lead, you look at the kill lead. This is a good sign that Game 5 is very likely.
Yeah, good sign that Kuro's going to get his first loss on Yasuo in the LCK as well, which is crazy. And look at Sword, turning around what was an abysmal Game 3, playing the Cho'Gath, not really doing anything. He was a passenger on a bus that was falling off a cliff, and now he's driving the damn thing to a victory. Nicely done from Griffin so far this game. They still need to close it out, but with this Baron buff and 2.5 minutes of it, they should be able to start breaking down these structures. Not a lot remaining, to be honest. See where they go next. Is Griffin just going to take a dragon in the meantime?
Yeah, Freebie Ocean Drake is just fine. They have huge item leads on the majority of their members. A lot of damage flowing in. Both summoners being down from Kramer means he's really done nothing this game. Been one of the best performances we've seen against a Swain in recent memory. Kramer had, of course, been dominant on the Swain against one of our noted duos of poor JJ and Ruler. Here's the ult onto Spirit.
Yep, arrow's going to land. He does manage to get the Subjugate off, which is going to get at least a knock-up, as Tucson is in there. Hero's Entrance comes down as well, as immediately you've got Kramer utilizing the ultimate. It's once again Kuro falling so early in the fight, though, and Afreeca Freecs just don't have the damage to take them down. The headbutt was really nice, but Winds of War gets the double for Chovy. This Galio is unstoppable, as the inner turret is going to fall and should be followed by the inhibitor turret as well.
This Yasuo can just never hit a side lane. He doesn't have enough damage at this point in the game to actually win fights. They're getting 4-man last breaths, but it's Griffin's last breath. It's the dying breath of this mid lane inhibitor.
Yep, the side lane that he can hit is the Death Chamber, Papa Smithy. It's the only thing that Kuro can really make work this game. As Griffin, they take the inhibitor, they take what they want, they're going to empowered recall their way back home and buy the majority of the shop. That's a really snowballed Guardian Angel now for Viper, who just doesn't want to die in these team fights. The only one that had really died a few times this game, one of the only ones, is Tarzan as well, playing some frontline. 2-2 and 10 on the Ashe, and now probably not going to die again.
And if you're Afreeca, aren't you going to be kicking yourself if you lose this series, because maybe you should have just counterpicked Sword in game number 4. They chose blue side. They felt confident that they would know what Griffin would play. The Jace last pick has fallen into place. I think a lot of people want to be results orientated about the drafts in games 3 and 4. Like we explained, Griffin could have won game 3. They lost early, so they were very likely to lose it. Game number 4, they actually pull out the Jace pick. I think percentage-wise, they have more percentage points to win because the Jace gave them more of a winning early game to play around, but they actually stuck a winning early game in a way they haven't been able to in previous series. So because the nameplates are on, as Afreeca Freecs, you thought you could just overwhelm Griffin in game number 4. With a blue side draft, you don't do that, and now you might have to be on blue side for game number 5.
Exactly. I don't see why Griffin wouldn't just pick red side once again. It's been where they've got all of their victories so far, and they were handed it here in game number 4. Afreeca Freecs desperately trying to hold on to their base. It's only one inhibitor taken down, but Griffin, they don't have the same problem that Afreeca have with their composition. They've got the Ashe. They've got a fair bit of range. They can siege this one out if they want to. Lehens and Chovy both being brick walls to stand in front of Viper.
Oh, Lehens has the Disco Nunu special.
Oh, I like it.
Of the Ghost Cleanse here. He knows what his role is. Get in there and put an ult down, so he's happy with those summoners for now. They're going to take the inhibitor turret and top side. Jace makes short work of it.
And extraordinarily quickly there as well, as Keen still dealing with super creeps in the mid lane. Wants to get barrels forward. Thankfully for him, the shock blast doesn't land, but they still lose that inhibitor on the top side of the map, and Griffin setting themselves up to take down the last remaining one on the bottom side. So much poke damage to come in from this Jace. Sword has just had a brilliant game so far. And to rotate on a dime like he did with his performances after what was so depressing on the Cho'Gath, to then come in and play so dominantly on this Jace. It's just great to see from such a young team. The biggest question we had was exactly that.
You get the same zoom out we had at the end of game number 3. Can we hear the screams of Afreeca? Every lane losing their inhibitor. Third inhibitor turret won't be taken down. That's actually a Lock of the Iron Solari, wasted for it, but they zone away Afreeca. Kramer's been waiting for a better spot to engage for 30 minutes. He might still be waiting with the Nexus dime.
Yeah, Nexus turret's going to be the only things standing between Griffin and a final game of this best-of-5 series. It's exactly what we wanted moving into this one, and I'm not sure who's going to be able to take it. Crazy thing is it looks like it might be Griffin favored if they can get that red side like you were talking about. Afreeca Freecs, shambles of a base, and Griffin just wanting to take a little bit more before they finish this one off.
LCK Summer 2018 has been a split to shatter all conventional logic. Start of the meta, we got awesome dudes in the bot lane. We had to come up with a term because OGN had AD as their augmented reality big picture play of what the bot lane carry was. They stuck with AD, so awesome dude it was. Yasuo, Vladimir, Kled, these are all the picks that Viper was playing. From there, think about all the LCK memes that have been there forever. SKT always makes playoffs, didn't make the playoffs. KT Rolster never wins the regular season, won the regular season for the first time. Everything's coming up Kingzone Dragon X in the meta. Surely they're going to run the gauntlet. They're out 3-1 to Afreeca Freecs. You look at the game 5, you even look at this game 4, and you say, Afreeca had the huge edge in experience. Like you were saying, Atlas, they'll fall back on all the experience, on multiple squads for these players, and Griffin will eventually roll over. Griffin has looked at conventional logic for an entire year, while they started in Challenger and put it in the bin, and been able to come up with big performance after big performance. They haven't won game 4 yet, but they're knocking on the door of game number 5, and I feel like all the old sports adage of experience always wins out might not apply because nothing else has in LCK Summer.
Yep, we have no idea what to expect from Griffin when it comes to this, but so far it's been expect them to win, and you'll generally not be surprised. They're going to move over, they're going to take themselves a very easy Baron.
Freebie.
For the second time of asking.
GPO! Oh, no GPO.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the 2 damage.
It literally stole an Elder Dragon about a week and a half ago.
It did. It's there for that one. There's Sword looking to just try and take a Mountain Drake as well. They'll take everything, will Griffin, as they follow super creeps and now have a big purple buff on them towards the base of Afreeca. And Afreeca, just not a lot of options. They'll have to have the most incredible team fight. They're going to be able to win this.
That was a zoning ultimate there from Lehens, Orianna style by me.
He's done a few of those.
Well, he can do what he can do. Yeah. The Zeke's convergence also runs off, so you can't even talk about that. Here we go.
Yeah, arrow flies in, but Tucson actually just whiffs the engage that he was looking for. Kuro jumps over, looks for Viper.
Doesn't get him.
He's just going to straight up die. Hero's entrance wasn't even needed onto the Ashe because he already had the GA ready.
It's done.
Kramer in the back line. He's got his Zhonya's, but the Nexus is now exposed. You've got Chovy in there. He's just going to take down the Nexus himself. They desperately